Hello students, welcome to EasyElimu, Learning Simplified. My name is Mr. Mbogo Stanley, and about today I'm going to take you through Fathers of Nations, and we're simply going to look at the introduction of this literary masterpiece by Paul B. Vita. So some of the things that we are going to look at in today's episode is number one, a comprehensive cover page interpretation. That is, are we able to comprehend or to understand what the cover page is all about? Then number two, we're going to look at the forward of this wonderful novel. Then we will proceed to the title, that is by looking at the relevance of the title. Then lastly, looking at the setting of the novel. So please stay tuned and ensure that you watch till the end of this video. Now, first things first, before looking at what Fathers of Nations is all about, let us pay attention to the author, that is Paul B. Vita. So about Paul B. Vita is the author and the master behind Fathers of Nations. So he's a literary scholar who was born in Tanzania. Uh, Paul B. Vita received his doctorate degree in physics from Emory University and was also a professor at the University of Dar es Salaam and later worked for the African Regional Center for Technology in Senegal. Another thing about the author is that he also spent a part of his life in Canada, where he worked in the International Development Research Center. So before he retired, or before his retirement, we are told that Paul B. Vita became the director of UNESCO's Regional Office for Science and Technology in Africa. So something interesting about the author before we proceed to the nitty-gritties is that this is someone who was visited different countries within the African continent and even outside the African continent. And another thing, dear students, that is about the cover page. Uh, you know, the cover page is designed for a purpose. So looking at the cover page of this novel right here, we have got a mark, we have got a text within a red mark written Oxford. So it means that this book is published by Oxford University Press. So Oxford University Press is just a department within the Oxford University. So below it, we have got a title, and the title is Fathers of Nations. So before we look at what the title is all about, there is the word fathers. That is the antonym of what? Of mothers. So what do you expect about fathers in a family setup? Leave alone this literary masterpiece. What are some of the roles that fathers play in a family setup? So basically, we are made to understand that the role of fathers in a family are simply to do what? To provide what is useful, or rather, we can talk about providing for the family. In simple terms, putting food on the table, putting food on the table. But now, when we talk about fathers of nations, when we talk about fathers of nations, we are now not talking about a family setup, but we are talking about a state or a country. So it means that these are some of the people who are expected to do what? To lead citizens to prosperity. Hence, the title Fathers of Nations. So below the title, we have got an image. There is an image, and there are a lot of details in the image. So first things first, we have a document. We have a document, and on top of that document, there is a stamp. There is a stamp. So uh, there is a stamp that is written rejected. I don't know if you are able to see it from the image that I have in the video, or maybe if you're having this set book, you are able to see that we have got a document and we have two words. So the first word on the document, so the first word is actually on the stamp, and it is written rejected. The second word is on the document, sorry, written approved. So that also brings us to something that we must really ask ourselves about. So there is some contrary. We have got some contrary when it comes to the image that is shown, or rather displayed on the what, on the cover page of this uh, novel by Paul B. Vita. So, what is contrary? What is contrary? So, when we talk about a contrary, this simply refers to different ideas. We are talking about different ideas, or maybe I can call it different what? Different opinions. So, different ideas or different opinions. So uh, when you talk about similarity, that is as a style in literature, it can be used to compare two contradicting things or ideas side by side. So they can either highlight on the differences that is seen between two parties, or the similarities. So those are the two words that we have on the document. Remember, one is written on the stamp, and another one is written on top of that document. So this kind of brings or talks about some uncertainty, or we can talk about differences in ideas between two parties. So that is what the cover page is all about. There is a document, a stamp, one that is written on the stamp, another one that is stamped already on the document. So we are going to, get to understand. We are going to get to understand the relevance of the image that is used on the cover page and compare it to some of the actions or events that take place in this novel by Paul B. Vita. So when you talk about the cover page, it's more of comprehending what you can see, or how best you can interpret what you are able to see with your own eyes. So that is about the cover page of Fathers of Nations by Paul B. Vita. Now on to the next thing about Fathers of Nation, that is about the novel. So, as mentioned earlier, it is written by Paul B. Vita and published by Oxford University Press. And remember, earlier on I said that Oxford University Press is a department of the University of Oxford. So the play, or rather the novel, revolves around the lives of four strangers, and their names are, we have Professor Kimani, Comrade Melusi, Engineer Tahir, and Pastor Chiamaka from Lagos, Nigeria. Then the general idea of the novel is about a summit. It is a summit that is to be held in a capital of Gambia, Banjul, at the Pinnacle Hotel. And again, if you look at the country hosting this summit, it is a country that is found in Africa, or rather in the African continent. So some of the world's best researchers or experts, I can call it this way, you can call it that way, have discovered a way to develop Africa. So a document titled Way Omega and the Africa's heads of states are at a summit to approve it. So dear students, if this document, that is the Way Omega, is approved, it is believed that it will change Africa's economic structures and Africa will develop immediately. Hmm. Something interesting is about to come up. Now, however, there are aggrieved conspirators. So there is some kind of conspiracy. So there are agreed conspirators who are plotting to defeat the Way Omega document. And what are their plan? So their plan is to have the Way Omega document replaced with with a rival strategy that is called Path Alpha, the only way. That is according to the pioneers. And kindly, if you look at the last paragraph, it is written a rival strategy. It is rival strategy. So we have got this opposition party, mhm, who are coming up with a different idea called the Path Alpha. And their intention is to ensure that Path Alpha strategy replaces the what? The Way Omega document. Then about the Way Omega document, so this is a document that some leaders believe to be a development agenda, as it will see Africa that develops. The Way Omega ideology is a plan for overcoming current and future challenges in Africa. So it is fronted by one minister, Pinto. The strategy will enable African nations to continue getting support through aid and grant from donors. So the meaning of aid is simply to provide what is useful or necessary. The grant is simply to permit. We can talk about permission or to accept that something is indeed true. So Africa's Minister of Planning liked the Way Omega strategy, having looked at it and the summit meeting, is planning to be held so that all African countries adopt it as a common strategy for development, meaning that this strategy is kind of believed to work for all the African states or the African continent. So some of the main ideas for the strategies are to change Africa's politics and again end Africa's misery. So about Path Alpha, Path Alpha is a rival document strategy that the Agency for Governance and Development in Africa, abbreviated as AGDA, believes is a superior alternative way to Omega, to Way Omega. That is the first development strategy document that we mentioned. So unknown to the summit, AGDA plans to slip, this strategy in to have it replace the Way Omega during the summit. The pioneers believe that this strategy will solve the problem some present head of state find difficult to solve. Most of them have suffered the ugly state abuse and do not want to suffer anymore. So they have to come up with a different what? A different strategy. Then forward of the book. So the book begins with a forward that outlines its purpose, that is, Fathers of Nations. So it begins with a man caught selling confidential documents marked for 100 eyes only. Nobody was supposed to see these documents except the 50 heads of states who attended the summit. And remember, the venue is Gambia's capital of Banjul. So heads of state later in the day boycotted the closing ceremony of the summit organized by Gambia. And Gambian news had it that the boycott had nothing to do with the man who was earlier caught selling the top secret documents in quotes. The boycott was as a result of the disagreement among the heads of state. That is what most people think the boycott was all about. But again, not a surprise to the Gambians, the man caught by the guards selling the confidential documents disappeared and not to be seen again. So Gambians rated the summit as the most successful despite the criticism or the critic and negative comments from the heads of states, that is the dignitaries who are hosted in Gambia's capital of Banjul. Very interesting. So about the relevance of the title, so the title Fathers of Nations is accurate and satirical as the author uses sarcasm to highlight the situation in contemporary Africa. So Fathers of Nations is a title that brings to the attention of the readers all that haven't been done in the right way in the African continent. Uh, but what is interesting is that these ideologies or these mistakes, I can call them, are pointed out by the author in a humorous way. The title is also honorific, that is, honor, as it is given to individuals considered the driving force behind the freedom of Africa and their states or countries. So they are believed, these people are believed to have once developed uh, some strength, and they helped remove the colonial regime. They also ensured that their countries gain self-rule under their leadership. So in simple terms, when you talk about fathers of nations, we are referring to leaders who rule or govern the African states. So the setting of the novel, we can talk about, three different categories. That is the historical setting, geographical setting, sorry, and also social setting. So the setting of the novel is in contemporary Africa. That is when we are to talk about historical. So historical setting is all about the time when the events in the novel took place. So it highlights the dysfunctional post-colonial state of African countries. Another thing is that most of the African states are still affected by criminal networks that are organized and controls all the political power, including economic opportunities. Again, the continent, that is the African continent, is faced with post-independence challenges that have hindered the progress of most African countries. So, talking about the geographical setting, we can talk about Africa as a continent. Then remember, I've talked about the historical setting, that is the modern or the contemporary Africa. Then another interesting thing that maybe we can talk about is that in the novel, we have got what is called division of class or social stratification because of the leaders and the citizens. So please stay tuned for the next video so as to look at the chapter summaries and all that, all the relevant information in the summaries and episodes in each and every chapter. Once again, my name is Mr. Stanley Ombogo. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye.